Once again, the month is over, so it's time to list the very best in WWE wrestling. Last month, we had weekly editions of Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, NXT, the Mae Young Classic and Mixed Match Challenge, and also one pay-per-view in the form of Hell in a Cell. So, without further ado, let's begin. I'm Pommy Wrestling, and these are the best WWE matches from September 2018. Andrade Cien Almas' main roster run didn't start on the hottest note, but for the last 2 months or so, he has been given several chances to impress everyone watching. This match against AJ Styles was no exception. There was no major storyline going on between these men, just two talented wrestlers having an entertaining TV match. Almas was the star, nearly getting the win many times throughout the match, while Styles responded at just the right time to everything Almas had in store, especially the ending sequence, which looked amazing. Great job by two performers who have developed phenomenal chemistry. Hopefully, creatives will finally give Almas a proper storyline after such a streak of great performances. In 2018, the Cruiserweight division has become one of the most exciting products WWE owns, being only surpassed by NXT and sometimes by SmackDown. Interestingly, the main event scene isn't 205 Live's only highlight. Every match, no matter who is in the ring, can rank from good to excellent. That was the case in this edition of 205 Live, when Gran Metalik, who hasn't been given a chance at the title since the Cruiserweight Classic back in 2016, and Tony Nese, who has yet to have a single title shot, had a hell of a match, firing up the crowd with great feats of athleticism, and some of the best near falls I've seen in this show. When the lower card is as good as this, you know you're watching a great show. As I just mentioned, any 205 Live match can be really good if given the opportunity. However, when the match has a solid storyline behind it, then it can really reach the next level. A month ago, Hideo Itami decimated Mustafa Ali to the point he couldn't even stand on his own. Upon his comeback, Ali wanted to make things right and avenge the loss against Itami, who kept on gloating about how he took Ali out of commission. Their match was a fun combination of Ali's high-flying moves against Itami's strong style. Ali and Itami played their roles perfectly, with Itami focusing on Ali's head in an attempt to once again knock his opponent unconscious, while Ali struggled to avoid and counter the lethal attacks. The ending, with Ali hitting a brutal 450 splash on the apron, followed by a double countout, wasn't the most satisfying, but it was done in a way that made me excited for their next encounter. So good job in that regard. Despite being one of WWE's horsewomen, Becky Lynch always got the short end of the stick. Sasha Banks, Bayley, and especially Charlotte Flair were always in the title scene, all while the likes of Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and Asuka got ahead of her. Earlier this summer, when it finally seemed like Becky was getting back to the division's top, Charlotte once again got in the way, leading to a somewhat controversial heel turn and one of the most intriguing rivalries of the year. At Hell in a Cell, these women settled their differences with the Women's Championship on the line. Becky was in control for a good amount of time, clearly focusing her offense on the champ's arm. Charlotte's work was also good, with her selling the arm while still getting some offense of her own. In the end, despite a vast number of submission attempts, it was a basic roll that got the last kicker the belt in a really close ending sequence. Once again, congratulations to Becky Lynch, and please WWE, stop painting her as the villain of the story. There were two Hell in a Cell matches at last month's pay-per-view. The Universal title one really didn't deserve the stipulation. They didn't do anything we haven't seen with it, and the booking only served to set the main event of the Saudi Arabia event. On the other hand, the opening Hell in a Cell match did the exact opposite, by presenting the end of a personal feud that required an extra edge to reach a higher level. Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy were pretty creative with their weapons, giving some unique uses to ladders, chairs, and notably a screwdriver, which Orton introduced inside Jeff's earlobe and twisted to the audience's disgust. The pace was a bit slow, but the intensity of the spots made up for it. The ending, while not perfectly executed, was precisely the kind of ending this rivalry needed. Good example of how to effectively book a Hell in a Cell match. After several decent but far from perfect feuds since winning the belt, AJ Styles finally got into a really compelling rivalry against an old foe of his, Samoa Joe. These men's segments on TV and their match at SummerSlam were much more personal than your average championship feud, and were much more deserving of a Hell in a Cell match. Unfortunately, they didn't get the stipulation, but they still had one of the best encounters of the night. Both men were going for big moves, a huge powerbomb by Samoa Joe, a 450 splash by Styles, several counters showcasing the in-ring chemistry these men have developed over the years, and many submission holds that both men sold remarkably. In the end, Styles got the win after reversing a coquina clutch into a pinfall, which only added another wrinkle into this rivalry due to Styles tapping out while on the hold. Once again, great job by these men, but hopefully WWE will give this feud a proper end soon, before it overstays its welcome. Following a couple of crushing defeats at the hands of Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano tried to get back on track by taking down the Velveteen Dream. They had a pretty good match with some cool looking moves and counters, especially from Gargano, but where this man truly excelled was in the story they told in the ring. Gargano's actions and facial expressions were top notch, playing a man who can't recognize himself anymore, second guessing many of his moves. Dream's work was outstanding too, abusing Gargano's poor mind state by calling him Johnny Failure throughout the match. This ultimately led to Dream getting the win by hitting the Dream Valley Driver on a furious Gargano. After the match, Gargano left in a sea of boos and cheers, looking distraught. The psychology in this match was superb. In 16 minutes, it seamlessly continued Gargano's tale and gave Velveteen another meaningful victory. This was a great example of NXT outdoing the main roster in both match quality and storytelling. I've already talked about 205 Live's ability to book enjoyable matches with wrestlers outside of the title picture. That's not to say the title picture is bad. In fact, ever since WrestleMania, it has been a huge highlight of the main roster, with Cedric Alexander's defenses against a variety of opponents consistently being the match of the week. This trend continued in his last successful defense against one of 205 Live's most entertaining performers, Drew Gulak. After a somewhat unsatisfying ending to their SummerSlam match, these men went out of their way to give a heck of a performance that once again managed to hook an initially uninterested crowd. Alexander's strikes and high-flying moves were mixed perfectly with Gulak's methodical offense on his opponent's neck. There were many memorable moments, from Alexander barely escaping the Gulak, to Gulak breaking his own code and hitting a lariat from the top rope. However, the most impressive must be Alexander's suplex from the ring to the floor at ringside. 205 Live shines once again, and hopefully it will continue doing it in their new schedule. For the last couple of months, Raw's tag team division has been kind of depressing. The B-Team and the Deleters of Words were entertaining to a degree, but their matches or TV segments never reached the level of excitement SmackDown's tag division has. A couple of weeks prior Hell in a Cell, Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler interjected themselves into the tag scene, giving it an immediate boost of importance. Their match against The Shield at Hell in a Cell was a demonstration of tag team wrestling at its best, despite none of these men being a tag team specialist. At first, the match followed the basic tag team formula, with Rollins playing a valiant babyface in peril. However, it's after Ambrose got the hot tag that this match went from good to great. All four performers gave it their all with some great move sequences, convincing near falls, and to top it all, one of the best ending sequences I've seen on the main roster for quite some time. That was arguably the best main roster match of the year so far. Before going to number 1, here are some honorable mentions. The Shield's 6-man tag team matches have always been a ton of fun, and this was not an exception. Also props to the creatives for actually doing something with the Authors of Pain. The Mae Young Classic has given some good matches, with this being the best from the first round. Great job by these women, especially Rachel Evers, whom I wish had won. As mentioned earlier, Almas has been a part of some high-profile matches on SmackDown. Once again, he looked like $1,000,000 despite losing. Both men did a really good job, notably Buddy Murphy, who once again proved how good he is and why putting the belt on him was a great idea. Pretty good impromptu match. Wish TJP had gotten into an actual program with Alexander, but this was a good taste of what they are able to do together. NXT once again takes the top spot, with their first ever champion vs champion winner takes all match. The bout was set up after these men suffered a defeat against the Undisputed Era due to miscommunication. It started as a submission battle where Ricochet proved he's more than just a high flyer by playing Don's game as good as he possibly could, but still got overwhelmed by his opponent's larger experience in this area. The pace of the match picked up drastically during the second half, in which both men hit many painful looking moves and jaw-dropping counters. Don's performance was admirable, but Ricochet was the star of the match, catching the Bruiserweight with a wide variety of moves, while still selling the damage he received earlier in the match. Near the end, both men looked desperate to get the win, and the crowd's non-stop chants gave the encounter a special atmosphere. Unfortunately, Ricochet won the North American title not too long ago, and Pete Dunne has been champion for over 500 days now, which meant there was only one way this would end. The Undisputed Era interfered, attacking both men to end the match in no contest. Apart from the lack of a proper ending, this match had everything you could ask from a championship match. Huge stakes, breathtaking moves, an invested crowd, and great psychology. It could have easily main evented any takeover, and it is the best match from September 2018. That's all for the time being. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, see ya!